3, verse 1 through 5. But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having formed godliness but denying its power, and from such people turn away. Now I hope you kept it in a paper that I printed out. I'll try to, next week we're going to be looking at something different, but we will come back to this. And we're not going to look at every little thing. I mean, we're not going to have a whole sermon on every little thing, but I did want to point out some things as I was studying this. Last week we talked about loving ourselves too much. Before I get started, I ran out Wednesday, I had stomach virus, had that Wednesday and Thursday, and then as soon as I got over that, I come down with a stupid head cold, and so a preacher friend of mine, Billy Don Smith, a great evangelist that I know, me and Brother Richard, the preacher that kind of trained me, we always got really loud at times. And Billy Don gets loud too sometimes. But we were talking with him one day and he said, remember that it's more about the lightning than it is the thunder. And so he said, make sure that your messages always have something that people can syncopate into. So today I'm really relying on the lightning. Anyway, last week we talked about loving ourselves too much, that people are concerned about themselves, not really concerned about others. And the great thing about doing a kind of a series is that we can kind of look back at maybe something and bring something up. And what I wanted to bring up today was, if you talk more about yourself than you do God, there may be something wrong. If you talk more about what you've done than what He has done, there may be something wrong. If more people would talk more about what God has done and what God can do and what God's done for them, we'd be living in a different world. Amen. But we're so self-absorbed. We're so hung up on ourselves. We're so hung up on what we've done and the things we've accomplished that we put aside what God's done. And so we're looking at today, people will become lovers of money. Now remember, Paul is talking to Timothy. He's telling him, he's warning him, he's giving him an advance saying, this is the kind of people that you're going to be ministering to. These are the kind of people that's going to be sitting in your church. These are the kind of people that you're going to have to sit with in their homes. These are the kind of people that you're going to have to sit by and comfort during a death of a loved one. These are the kind of people that's going to be around you. He's talking about church people. He's talking about how their attitude is going to be, what kind of character they're going to have. And so when he's saying all that, remember, that wasn't just in Timothy's time, it's in our time. And churches are full of people like this that we read about. Because they have not left the world, they've brought the world into the church. Now, a guy one time won $25,000 on a game show. His wife standing right beside him. And the host says, well, what are you going to do with it? He says, I'm going to give it to charity. Man, I mean, the crowd just went crazy. Just started clapping and hooping and hollering. And so the host turns to the wife and says, well, what do you think about that? She goes, that's okay, my name's Charity. One man and his wife split up after religious differences. His wife worshiped money, and he didn't have any. Come on now, help me out a little bit. Many men complain about their wives' favorite book is the checkbook. Once they start it, they can't put it down until it's finished. Okay.
Well, one-sided here.
I know, I'm sorry. As long as I can find. Whether a man ends up with a nest egg or a goose egg depends on the chick he lives with. I'm sorry. Money, wealth, riches. Somebody said that in the Bible there are like 500 references to wealth, riches, money, dealing with that issue. So it is probably one of the most talked about subjects that we have. And I hear a lot of times when somebody goes, oh, that preacher, all he does is talk about money. Jesus talked about money. He talked about riches. It was one of his subjects. Because, why did he talk about it? Because he knew that we had such problems with it. He knew either we're going to have not enough and struggle with that, or we have too much and struggle with that. And I've learned over the years that it doesn't matter how much money you have, you always need more. And it's not always want more, it's just always need more. There's always something breaking. There's always something to fix. There's always something to do. There's always a family member who needs it. So Jesus is trying to he's preparing us because he's given all these things about riches, and he's confronted people about riches and about wealth. And so Paul doesn't waver away from that. He says, man, Timothy, there's going to be people in your church who's going to be more concerned about money than they are about anything else. It's going to boil down to the dollar mark. It's going to what reads on that financial statement at the end of the month is what's going to matter most to most people. I guarantee you most arguments between couples is over money. Either not enough, or how we're going to spend it, or what we're going to do in the future. One of the problems with money is that it brings a sense of security. I guarantee you, if you get a little money, you can't help but feel, okay, I'm okay. I got my bills paid up, and I'm, I got a little nest egg over here, and I'm okay. But the problem with that is money is so fleeting. I mean, it's here one day and then next, gone the next. That's why one American poet said, man, it makes sense that we have an eagle on the dollar. Because it's fleeting. It flies away fast. Money talks. But most people say it doesn't stay around long enough to have a good conversation. Right? Money talks. But it makes less sense today, right? Money don't go nowhere. What you could do with $50 10 years ago, you sure can't do with it today. Right? Well, it's sad when we get excited that gas is $2.30. course, got out and did a little jig the other day when I found that Brian that cheap. Turn with me to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. The sad part is about money. I've seen families fight over it. I've seen churches fight over it. I've seen people who are good and kind and sweet and would do anything for anybody, but you give them just a little bit of money and all of a sudden they're different. I've seen people who wouldn't hurt a fly, but get red-faced because something in the financial statement wasn't right. In a church meeting, over money. Money can be a problem, and we've got to make sure that it's not a problem for us. Look with me, Hebrews 13, verse 5. Let your conduct be without covetousness. In other words, don't be greedy. I mean, there is nothing wrong with God blessing you. There's nothing wrong with you wanting God to bless you. Now, I don't think you should go so as far as say, look, God owes it to me to be rich. Now, there was a guy not too long ago that wrote a book, sold $1 million of how God's people can be rich. Well, I guarantee the only person that got rich from that book was the writer. Because I find nowhere in there that God says that. Nowhere. That doesn't mean he didn't bless people. Doesn't mean he didn't give people stuff. But he didn't promise that. Let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. That's where we lack, y'all. We're not content. We don't enjoy the simple things of life. You know, we are so, and it's because we're so bombarded on TV with all these things that we've got to have, that we don't enjoy just sitting on the porch, looking at a sunset, watching our children play or our grandchildren play. A good cup of coffee or a nice cold glass of tea. We don't enjoy those things enough. That's what the writer is saying. He said, be content with what you have. God may give you more. God may bless you with more, but at least be content with what you got right now. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let me tell you what, I've had money and I've been broke. I mean, I haven't been rich, but I've been, you know, I can pay my bills. And then I've been broke. Or I couldn't. And I had to depend on somebody else to help me. So I know what I'm talking about here. Look, money comes and goes. God is consistent. He's the one who will never leave you, nor forsake you. Your bank account, it may go. Your IRA may go. Your 401, it may go. Your retirement plan may go. Your job may go. Everything may go, but God is the one that is consistent in your life. And that's the one you've got to depend on. I guarantee you, there is no way that you and I can make it through the day without knowing that. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what your bank account is, or what car you drive, or what house you live in. No, just knowing that God will never leave you. Man, you should just soak all that up. You see, many times we are possessed by our possessions. The question is, are we possessed or are we possessors? Do our possessions own us or do we own them? Do you have control over your money or does your money have control over you? You're so worried that, hey, if I do this, I may not have none. And I've seen that in churches. I've seen they're afraid to spend a little bit of money because they're afraid they're never going to get it back. Let me tell you what, God gave it to you, and God can give it back again. And if you won't do His will, I guarantee you God can and does take it away. There was a rich man one time who was really miserable. He'd been miserable for a long time, and finally he went to this rabbi. And he said, man, he goes, I got lots of money. I mean, more money than I'll ever need. I'm miserable. And the rabbi said, come over to the window. So he took him over to the window and he said, what do you see out there? He says, well, I see a bunch of people walking by and some kids playing. And he goes, that's good. He said, now come with me. So he walks him and he takes him into the bathroom. And he stands right in front of the mirror and he says, now what do you see? He said, I see myself. He said, all that is a glass. And you add a little silver to it. And all you see is yourself. You don't see people. Man. That's what it does, right? Sometimes we're so wrapped up in us, in our finances. And this is a perfect time of season to be talking about this. That we need to make sure. And I don't care if it's $2. You know, I guess it's already too late, but I'm sure there's other things that you can do. But you know what? I can take my $2 and put it in that little red can. And God can do more with it than I could. Don't think, well, I can just give a little. I mean, I got all these people to buy for. Yes, you do. But you know what? Just take whatever little bits that you can and say, God, you take this. And you bless it. We'll see what God does. We're in a time of invitation. The time when we focus on what are we doing with our riches? We read a wonderful story in Sunday school today about Esther. And our uncle asked her, said, consider this, you may be where you are right now for a purpose. God may give you those
blessings, those riches, those gifts for a reason. And this may be the time to share. That's awesome.